Hi, we're live. And thank you all for showing up tonight and showing up with Sheila and I. I want to thank Sheila for showing up to help me. We tried to set it up so Sheila could highlight questions, but she may not be able to do that. So she's just going to kind of talk and try to answer questions as she can when I'm building the grids, because there's going to be a time where all you're going to see is my hands. And I want to thank everyone who's going to show up. And I'm really excited about tonight's show. For those of you who don't know what grids are, I'm going to put up a slideshow I did of my grids so that you can see it. It's going to start right now. Doesn't have any music behind it because I'm not that good at editing yet. But that's
pretty. They're so pretty.
That's alchemy, the one that's on the screen right now. I don't remember the names of all of them. But you can see I use a variety of stones, a variety of background colors. These are long ago and far away grids that I did. And this one goes back to when we were in COVID lockdown. And this one was a grid someone won through Andrea's channel. She was in a drawing. This is an old grid that I did for someone before. That's not one done through the channel. But these backgrounds that you see, the different kinds of sacred geometry backgrounds that are there, you can go online and find them through Etsy. I went to look at my sources for them, but I found those in 2018, and they're not around anymore. That one look familiar, Sheila?
Yes. That one wasn't mine, though.
No, that's not yours. I've done the one I did for you several times. But
yeah.
But every time I do them, they look different.
Yep. I love that turquoise.
This is communication. This is authority. This is my own personal grid that's in my house. And all those stones are loose. And this one's called masculinity.
Wow.
That
one's busy. That one real busy.
Yeah, well, no, it isn't. It's hard to find stones that fit that. And this is called clarity. This is the last grid. So those are the grids. That's what they look like. And what do you use grids for? Well, what you can use grids for is healing, abundance, protection, manifestation, and spiritual growth. And when I first started building grids, I was building them for individuals I was doing personal readings for. It was before COVID. And I used to meet with them. I'd come up with it all. And the basis that I use in forming the shapes for them, and I don't have pictures of all of those because they were all free form. I showed them how to build them. I'd meet with them. We'd show them how to put the stones together. I didn't take pictures of most of those. I only have a picture of about 5 of those. And but what goes into it is sacred geometry. And I use Lon's deck. This is what the back of it looks like. And her name is LON. That's all there is. You can find it. And it's sacred geometry, and one for relationships and one for just information. And you can find them. You can get them through Amazon. And if you saw the video that I did with Jeffrey about how we picked the cards for him, you'll see his build in this. That'll give you an idea. Or you can just read them out of your mind, just whatever you come up with, whatever works. I find this works the best because I can lay these out and people get to pull the card they want to pull. The elements that go into doing a card, to doing a grid is starts with a clear purpose. And then I form my images out of sacred geometry, which is like a whole nother class, which if I ever really teach a whole grids thing, I'll teach that. And they come out of patterns like flower of life, mandala shapes, spirals, triangles, squares. And the point of sacred geometry, and this is a really good book if you want to read up on sacred geometry. It's by a woman named Marilyn Walker, and all the books I'm going to tell you about right now.
So why is it sacred? What is the sacred part of geometry? Why is it called sacred?
Because before there's the geometry, that's the stuff that tells you if you're going to be able to get a truck is going to be able to get across a bridge because you build it right. But sacred geometry has a connection to our spiritual space. I listened to a lady today who's taken sacred geometry and she's blended it together with how to deal with fascia in our body, that it's so sacred to the center of us that it's fascia. And then when you get to crystals, how do I figure out my crystals? Well, I've studied them for a long time and I have a bazillion of them. And so we just live with that. Okay.
When I went to go visit her, I have to interrupt her. When I went to go visit her, we went to a rock shop. And let me tell you, she just like, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this. Oh.
Yeah. And I didn't always know it that way. I just learned it by working with it. But this is sort of a Bible. It's by Judy Hall. It's a Hay House production. Crystals Made Easy. It's a good book, but I don't like the way it's laid out. The one I like the way it's laid out better is this book called Crystals. It's the Modern Guide for Crystal Healing. And this woman's from New York. I think the book, last time I looked, it's still in publication. And like I said, all this is in the notes below. But the way her book's set up is all the crystals are in alphabetical order. So you just pick out which crystal you want to learn about, and it's on there. And it tells you how to clean it, how to deal with it, the care and feeding of your crystals. And it's a short book, and I have rarely found a crystal that I was really interested in working with that wasn't in here. And then my third book, and this is the Bible for crystals. And
you said care and feeding?
Care and feeding. Care and feeding. Well,
feeding, like eating.
Like how to keep them clean, how to not mix them together, what stones go with what stones. You'll find out if you mix the wrong stones, they get crystal chaos and it causes problems. It's like children when you get the wrong children together, and this is the Book of Stones and who they are and what they teach. And this guy's there's a guy who's a internationally known geologist that wrote this book, and he wrote it along with a woman who talks to you about the metaphysics of it. And it's got every stone you've ever wanted to hear about, halite and all of them, and it's in alphabetical order. Good pictures, really good pictures of them, and more text than you may ever want to read. But if you really want to get into stones, that's where you need to go. Then, after I had sort of studied all that stuff and was building my own grids, then I came up with using lawn to work with things. And when we look at stones, we're going to see things that are spirals, triangles, squares. The center stone, there's a center stone in every grid I've ever made except one called communication, which is where people are breaking up. And they're 4 squares. It was actually in the pictures we saw. Now, so we're going to look at some things. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to try to remember all the stuff I'm supposed to remember. The other thing I will tell you about if you're going to work with crystals, there is an app you can get on your phone, and it's called, the one I use most is Rock Identifier, but I have an Android. With Apple, you have to go find your own ones. But you can actually take a picture of the stone and say, identify it. And the program will identify it. It'll give you 2 options sometimes. But I find if I'm in a store, I'm really questioning, Mostly I find that I bring them home and I think, oh, I'll remember what that is. And then I don't remember what that is. So we're going to start with the first grid we're going to look at. And Sheila's going to do her best. And you can yell out questions to me, Sheila, if you want. And
I just wanted to say hello to everybody that's in the chat.
okay.
We have Mimi Nee. So happy to be here. Barbara Berkman. I don't say names correctly sometimes, so I'm so sorry about that. I think this is Miriam. Miriam, okay. And of course, Debbie and Kathy G, Lauren, Faye Cole, Kimberly, Ross Blue, Bora is here, Barb Wheel of Fortune, and Adrian, I think is what that says, Rossi, and of course, Sharon Sipe. Hi, honey. It's good to see you. Let's see, Medium Sheila. Oh, she's here. Hi, Sheila. And Faye Cole, Sherry, Rossi. I'm just looking at Rose Blue, Nancy. See if there's anybody new. Polly's in here. Janine Johnson, Barbara, Bella down. Janine, Gail Anderson's here. Okay, I think I've caught everybody. I always said their name a couple of times. So I just wanted to say hello to everyone. If you have any questions, I'll be the one looking and reading the questions to her as she is doing it. So
I'm working stuff.
Questions you need.
Now these are constructed grids, and I'm going to show you the basic. These we're going to go through fast. This is called fertility. And the essence of fertility is it invites you to be more open, more courageous, more creative, more joyful than you were before. It activates the potential for something beautiful to grow within your own consciousness. And this is the graphic that the grid below is based on. And in fertility, the stones that I've put in, the center stone is a carnelian, and it's a beautiful shaped carnelian that's been shaved like a medallion. And on top of it is blue adventuring. And the carnelian grounds you. The medium blue adventuring brings healing, good luck, and to calm the soul. Then you see these citrines. Now, citrines, in the Middle Ages, every merchant had a stone of citrine in his store because it was considered the stone that drew abundance. So when you see it's called the success stone, you can remember it as that. Then I built a whole little set of chips of citrines around that just because I had a whole little bag of citrine chips. No, it's actually in the graphic, and I really felt it made it stronger. Then I have green moss agate, and there's 6 of them. Those 6 are the green moss agates. And the green moss agates are tranquility and emotional balance. Green moss is just a marvelous, marvelous agate. And then the outer ring, the dark blues, are the sodalites. And there's 8 of them. And 8 is the money and power. And that's where the power, that's where you get into the numerology, that it's pulling the power in, ends arguments, and helps you understand your new patterns. And then
is that what you said?
Ends arguments, yes.
It finishes them. I'm a about ending.
If you throw this at them, it'll finish them.
I'm a finisher in arguments.
I know. And then Mother of Pearl, which I do use shells. You'll see I'm using some abalone too. It brings around higher goals and prosperity and mystical work. So this is the grid of fertility. And Rosie's been very patiently waiting for this because I kept saying, I've got it almost done. I quit building grids when my lungs got shot to hell. And so I had the stones picked out. I had them all laying in their little bags to be put together, but it takes a lot of emotional energy.
Dr. Gail in the house. Dr. Gail Skywalker.
Hi, Dr. Gail.
Gigi, who has her own channel. Go search out Gigi. Make sure that you post your channel up. Gigi is here. And
Mm-hmm.
anybody else who has a YouTube channel, go ahead and post it up. Make sure
Yeah,
everybody knows.
please do.
Yeah, Medium Sheila. Yeah.
And for my second grid that I'm going to look at that's been built, it's called Coherence, and it's a beautiful, beautiful grid. It's a beautiful, beautiful power. And the frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart and the frequency of the mind to the optimal ability to create a reality that we desire. Now that's real coherence for you guys. And that's what this one's designed to do. I had all these in order until Sheila and I started talking before the show. And it's not Sheila's fault. It's mine. Let's see. Tulia. Could have sworn I had coherence on here. I'm coming, guys. It's here. And Jennifer, the kind lady who's also this guy's, all the stuff's going in the mail to them tomorrow. Jennifer has yellow aventurine in the center, which is balance, protection, and enhanced flow. Then she's got a beautiful piece, a beautiful cabochon. Cabochons are where they take a stone and round it off and kind of make it look even. The cabochon of African jade, and it's a beautiful stone. And harmonizes the body, mind, and spirit. Then she's got these beautiful carnelians. These 6 beautiful carnelians around her. 1, 2, 3, 4. They look kind of orangey, but that's the carnelian. Carnelians can be everything from orange to red. And grounds and directs our spiritual path. Then what I have around them is the mucolite. And mucolite is an agate that you can only get from the Australian opal fields. It's the only place I have. And they're all these weird colors. They can be banded. They can be a dark color. They can look almost like jasper. And they're really, the first time I found a bag of them, I have 3 bags of them because I wanted to grab them while they were still there. They promote strength, vitality, and emotional stability. And that's what you feel when you deal with the mucolite. And it comes from the Muka River, which is in Australia. And then you see these fluorites, which is my favorite crystal in the world. And it's mixed colors of fluorite. And the fluorites learn self-confidence, balance, coordination. She's got mother of pearl, once again, to bring in the higher goals of the mystical work. And then they're not on here right now, but they will be on. There will be 6 little quartz points on here. I just didn't have my really good glue to put the quartz points down, but I will have those on, and she will get her quartz points too. And this is, when I read her and then she told me where she really wanted to go with her stuff, I was like, oh, you got the right card. Okay, now we're going to do the one, if you've seen the video that I sent out early about Jeffrey, what I did with Jeffrey.
Oh, I have a question.
What?
Okay, the question is, how do I control the costs of the crystals? Are there several stones with similar value that I can choose the cheapest from?
Yes. And I do sometimes Divergent Moon. I can't get a blue that I want, or I can't sometimes I can get Amazonite and it's real easy. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes this is honey calcite and I can find it, and then but then I'll go, and the next time it'll be really expensive. I go by color. If I can't find the exact, when you read about the stones, you're going to find out a lot of how the stones are regulated is the color. I mean, the meanings are regulated by color because they're tied to chakras. And if it comes to it and you just can't get the stone you want, or it's just going to, trust me, none of this. When I first started out, a bag of chips like this would be $3. Now it's $5. But I was just in, and their prices have gone down again. God only knows what's going to happen with stones, because so much of the stones I buy are from outside the U.S. And don't worry about it. If you're thinking about buying a grid, don't worry about me being short of stones, guys. Sheila will tell you.
She's not. She can make grids for probably 10 years before she runs out of all the
Really,
stones.
truly. I now only go to the rock shop if I have something I just don't have, and I think I really wanted this, and I go get it. But this is the stone I did. This is the grid I did with Jeffrey, and it's a combination grid, and I do that occasionally. But his was the Merkaba, which supports our ability to use our consciousness to traverse all layers of reality and dimensions. It activates and accesses Akashic inheritance, as well as merging our total experience to our highest purpose. And then when I pulled the card up, another one came up with it, and it was delight. And Jeffrey said, I love the yellow. So I mixed them together. And the frequency of delight supports our capacity to create and experience feelings of intense joy and happiness. The more delight we feel, the more delight we will bring to others. And as we all know, Jeffrey from Rad Color is a pretty delightful guy.
Yes.
And in this one, the base, this is another one where I created a center stone. Do you have a question?
Nope, I don't have one.
Okay. This is magnesite, and it's been dyed yellow. And I have dyed yellow magnesite, purple, and blue. And they just you can't get a real yellow sometimes. So it's an inexpensive stone that you can use. So I have 2 magnesites underneath it to make the base. Then it's got a sodalite, because if you've looked at the Merkaba, it almost has like a point in the center. So that sticks up, and that's sodalite. And those two together create visualization and new imaginations and end arguments and help understand patterns. That's what the center of this one means. Then he's got these little howlites, which are gray and white, and they encourage emotional expression. Then this is kind of a weird one, because it's got 2 cherry quartzes that, if you look at it, it's like red and then yellow. So I married cherry quartz with some honey calcite, and those heals emotional wounds and replace it with calm and teaches us the right use of power. That's in this grid. Then there's honey sodalite, the 3 sodalites that are here, and they end arguments. They're still doing what they were doing in the center here. Help you get past it. Amazonite, 6 really bright blue things, and those are healing. I find Amazonites are one of the most healing stones. And when I've had clients who had a lot of emotional issues, I always make sure I have some chips of Amazonite. I will make sure that Amazonite is included in their grid, because it really helps. I worked with a family member who was having real problems getting nowhere. And they were on my family grid, and they said, maybe it doesn't work because I'm part of the family. And so I built them their own grid. And the whole outer ring of that was Amazonite. Boy, did that ever convince me. That's what Amazonite is great for. Then I have the yellow magnesite to create visualization and create magnetism. And then and then I've got a little bitty mother of pearl right here. And I'll throw those in higher goals with prosperity and mystical work. I'll throw a little stone in because I think it's an issue that needs to be emphasized. And what happens is, when you get your grid, this will be on the back of it, and it shows the stones, the colors they are, where they're placed, how many of them there are, And when you get your letter about this, it will explain the numerology and what each one means. And then, so you can look at, and you have a permanent record of what your grid is about. Okay?
Yep. I have another question.
Sure.
It says, Nancy, do you ever use magnets in your grid? This is from Barb, Wheel of Fortune.
There are some naturally magnetic stones that could end up being in a grid. I have not, that has not been my life experience yet. So we'll see. Probably next week that will happen because you mentioned it.
What would the spiritual thing of a magnet? I mean, other than obvious. I would think a magnet would be something that would be
hematite. Hematite is an incredibly heavy grounding stone. Let me see if I can pull up my thing. I'll get to the one that's got the hematite, that's got the sparkles in it. Okay, that's hematite on the edge of that, and that can be a very magnetic stone. In that case, it happens to not be, but and it really does draw in incredible amounts of energy. So, just saying, that's what you do. Now, the next grid we're going to do has not yet been built. It's designed.
I need to interrupt just a second. My neighbor's wife passed, and our whole street is doing dinners for at least a week. Tonight's my turn, and the dinner is here, so I'm going to get that to him. I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Go be a good neighbor, Sheila.
All right.
Okay. Well, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to put us in the middle of the screen. Okay. This is how I work. This is one of the grid patterns that I like to use. I'm going to use this for the tantric journey. Normally I use my garden grid because I found it covered all of the different ways. But for this particular tantric journey, it has a lot of right angles. And this one, the stones will be stuck to this. And when I'm playing with the stones and I'm figuring them out, I put a glass pie plate over it so that when I'm laying the stones out, I can slide them around. And this is what a grid looks like when it's in the raw. And I do keep them like this. And so, ready to go. Oh, here it is. Woo! I thought I'd lost my center stone. So, and I'll have them out on the pie plate, or I have another glass dish over here that's white that I can see everything on. And yeah, it makes lots of noise. So, the tantric journey is the frequency of the tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge of wisdom that we intrinsically hold about to reach when we are about to reach that state of wholeness. And the completion through our sensual experiences with ourselves and with another. So this is someone who's looking to work it out and work it out with someone else. And it's a beautiful card. It almost looks like an oriental rug is what it looks like. And a hand knotted rug. So in the beginning, in the center of this one, because it talks about frequency and whole, I got an abalone shell is there, and there's also a sardonyx on top, and then which is a kind of a banded onyx, a banded agate, and then green onyx. And those three, the abalone shows powerful cleansing properties that help release negative energy and promote balance and harmony, because this person's really moving into a different sort of space. And then the sardonyx means courage and happiness and clear communication. And the green onyx is restfulness and purity. So they're going to go through this long journey, but I want them to be able to sleep when they're doing it. And then on top of that, we will have carnelian. Excuse me for 1 second while I got to catch my breath. I'm going to tell you another trick. When you build a grid, always take a picture of it. So if you have to go back and rebuild it, you'll have a picture of it to look at. And I happen to have one of this one, so I'm about to go look at my picture of it.
Okay,
You're back.
I'm back.
We've just started on the tantric journey, and I was reading about what it's about, and I'm about to open up. I was telling him a trick is when you're going to build a grid, to always take pictures of it so that you can refer back.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what you're doing. And okay. And I just got my phone out to reference. Because you see there's kind of a lot of small red and blue stuff happening around here. So what this is going to do is I'm going to all these, and this would be one of those grids. I don't normally do this on grids. I just happen to have two that I've done it in here. But I'm going to take a lot of carnelians. And these are little carnelian chips. And I'm going to put them around the abalone shell. Because carnelians are heart and warmth and all the good feelings you can generate inside yourself. And we're going to put those on here right now. And when I put them on like this, I call it a cluster. I used to count them, and then I decided that you get the idea. It's supposed to be some energy that's clustered around the center. And this is why I told you guys to bring your popcorn and your wine, because this takes a bit of doing to get all these little bits done. Okay. So there's the carnelian. And this will be affixed later tonight or early tomorrow morning. And then we have fluorite. And we have 9 little, if you look, there's a whole lot of purple around there. There's 9 little purple fluorides. 1, 2, 3. Is it right? No. There's. Okay. And there are my 9 fluorites, which mean confidence, direction, and self-love. And the reason when I tantric journey says they're finishing a journey and starting a new beginning, 9s are finishing and starting again. And then I wanted to triangulate in, because you can see there's a triangle at the top. So I'm triangulating in with my blue magnesite, and that creative visualization and what I do, creative visualization and imagination. That's what those guys are about. And then I have some chrysocolla, which looks a lot like amazonite. And I'm going to put those on the other points of the 6-pointed star that's part of this. And I'm going to put a whole lot.
I just wanted to, Ellen here said, I had a dream that a gigantic raven stopped by to visit me in my living room.
Mm-hmm.
Told that this has something to do with my destiny. I'm told that Raven will guide me. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. Ravens are one of my guide animals, and it's because I was a Celtic witch. And the ravens have a whole lot they're very, very powerful. I had a reader read me one time, and she said the whole time she was trying to get a picture of who I was, she kept seeing this raven in the picture. And I kept saying, well, of course you do. That's my raven. So, and we're going to put these beautiful these beautiful little buttons, and they're bright green, and I'm putting them in because bright green emphasizes the feminine.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to read something. It says,
Okay.
Raven, a messenger between worlds. That's what they call the ravens are messengers between worlds. Ravens are seen as intermediaries. Oh my gosh, that's a horrible
Intermediaries.
name. There you go, intermediaries. If anybody doesn't know who I am, I'm sure you do, but I have dyslexia, and it's sometimes a little hard for me to read. Okay, so there's that. Between the physical and the spiritual realm, many cultures believe they carry messages from the divine, the ancestors, or otherworldly forces. Let's see, transformation and rebirth. Ravens are scavengers, often associated with death, but spiritually, this is a connection to them. So there's that. They appear at moments of deep personal change, asking you to shed what no longer serves and step into your own evolution. Magic and mystery. The raven is linked to shadow work. Ooh, if you've been doing a lot of shadow, we've all been forced into shadow work because of this.
Yeah, whether we like it or not.
This whole United States has been forced into shadow work. It's magic and unseen. In the Native American and Celtic traditions, ravens are shapeshifters and tricksters, reminding you to look beyond surface appearances and embrace a deeper mysteries. And then the last one is wisdom and prophecy. Known for their intelligence, ravens are symbols of ancient knowledge. Seeing one in dreams or meditation can mean you're being invited to access your higher truth, deepen your intuition, or explore mystical paths.
I would take it as a guide animal, and I would take it like a spirit animal, and it's the same as having a guide show up, and they will lead you. Whenever I see a raven, I feel happy. And ravens are incredibly smart. They're like certain kinds of crows that they can, if you put a puzzle in and say your food's in there, they can figure out how to get their food. So what we see.
Okay, go ahead. You're back to the grid.
Back to the grid. We've got the abalone and the center stone that I put together for that. And then in the image of the tantric journey, there's these little tiny outlier glimmery pieces. And I used some mother of pearl cabochons, and I used mother of pearl plates to help emphasize those. But basically, that whole outer ring is emphasizing the empowerment of the feminine energy ancient awareness, and to help with communication. So I certainly hope the person who's going to get the tantric journey appreciates this, Sheila.
They will. I'm sure that will go exactly to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie says, I like ravens. However, crows, which are the same thing. There's no crow and a raven are the same thing, are the ones that I've grown up with. I love my crow. So they're the same thing. A raven and a crow are the same thing.
I've known since I was a kid that a raven was part of my life. Mm-hmm. And so I don't worry about that. But anyway, so basically what you've seen so far is everything's sort of been built around a center. This last grid I'm going to lay for you, it's one of my favorite grids. And I built it, the first time I got this was 4 years ago. And I went, holy crap, how am I supposed to build that? And by the way, I put shells in. I put coral in my things. I put an ammonite. You know, those shells that they find in the ocean. You know, they're curly.
That's supposed to be ancient wisdom as well.
Yeah, it's an ancestor stone, and it means whatever you're working with in this life is what's going on around you right now. So this last grid I'm going to show you, and I'm going to put people out of here. This is what it looks like. It's called transition. It's one of my favorite grids to make. And a lady, when I was putting this class together.
Okay, I have more questions here. Hang on just a second. Okay, so here's a question from Divergent. How do you decide what to put on the outside or any other placements?
I do it. I'm guided a whole lot by the image that's on the card. Because I take that image and then I work with it and I make it to be what I understand the person needs. Now, in the case of
intuitively is what she's trying to say.
Yeah, I can't. That's the part. It's like somebody says, "Well, how do you know that card means that thing?" And I had a woman. I love her dearly. She's still a good friend of mine, and that's really amazing considering what we've been through. But she used to say, "But last week you said this meant that." This is the frame I'm going to put.
I got some more questions, and there's one. Bridget says there's slightly difference in the anatomy of a raven and a crow, which, yeah, but they are cousins. Yeah, they're very smart birds.
Spiritually, there's not a difference between a raven and a crow.
So Divergent also has, that is what is the function of a different position. So what are the positionings mean?
Well,
you're doing it.
Positionings are, I try to get all the thoughts and elements that ought to exist in my grid, on my grid. This is going to be much closer to what it looks like when I really finally lay out a grid, guys. Because the last one I had laid all the way out to the end. This one, I know what I'm doing with it, but the power of transition is the frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence and our own lives so that we can learn to let go, surrender in the process, and allow the transition so we can grow in grace. And what happens with this is, if you look at it, it's like a circle, but it's like a DNA unwinding. And that's what I've always felt it was. So, and it's, to me, I love the red in this one.
So the middle stone means what?
It's the focus of the reading.
And then the outer rim from that
is the emphasis and the other energies that are needed in the reading.
Okay,
in
and
the
then
in the
so
intentions.
in each ring, ring, just is it?
No ring is more powerful than the other, but you got to start somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, and
It's you're just creating a power from
right,
or a pattern from within.
yes. And so this one you're gonna. This is really me building one while you're watching.
Okay.
You see, it's got that beautiful red, and this is a gorgeous red poppy jasper. And in the very center of it,
And
I
how
am.
do and Mimi Nee wants to know, how do you charge the grid?
How do I chart? Do I? Okay. Um, I to charge it. When I work with this one after I get it set up, I'll show you how to do it because it's the weirdest grid I make. But you start at the center and then you go out to all the stones all the way out, and then you build the energy up and you'll feel it above your hand. You'll feel it on your hand. Now, if you don't feel it on your hand, I'm not responsible for that. I didn't give you your nervous system. But I will tell you that I had one lady who kept calling me and saying, my grid isn't warm. It's not working. And I kind of stay connected to my grids, and I could feel that the grid was working. And I said, are you sure it's not working? And she said, oh, it's not working. It's not working. So she and I met. Well, first of all, she fired it up when Mercury was retrograde. That was her first thing that she thought, why it didn't work. Then the second time, she decided it was a full moon. And I'm like, okay, go pick a time when the moon's not doing anything weird and Mercury's all doing what it's supposed to be doing. So she tried again. So anyway, I'd had 3 different conferences with her. And trust me, guys, this is not a way to make Nancy your friend, to have you call and talk to her all the time. I mean, I like the lady, and she was a nurse, and she was working. This was after COVID, and she'd worked long, powerful shifts, and I really felt badly for her. So I got in with her, and I said, okay, I'm going to sit with you, and we're going to fire it up, and I'm going to be on my end. And we fired it up. I said, I don't care if you can't feel any warmth off of it. I think it's working. I can feel warmth. And I'm not just saying that to BS you, because the first time I put my hand over my grid and it was warm, and this was before I ever did them for a reason, to make money or anything else. When I built my own grid just out of curiosity, and it had said, now when you put your hand over, it'll be warm. And I went, yeah, sure. And I went, oh, F, it's warm. So anyway, so I told her to get out her list of intentions. And she looked at her list of intentions and she read the first 5. And I said, what about them? And she said, oh my God, they've all happened. She was so focused on, she wanted this physical energy. She wanted to have it be this way. You have to see what the universe is giving you to understand. Now, I have some miraculous tales of people who I did grids for, and like something they really worked on turned around. I've had people who wrote me back when I wrote them and said, because I periodically do reach out to people on grids and say, how's your grid working for you? Mm-hmm. And this woman wrote me back and she said, this grid has done absolutely nothing. And she said, but then again, I've done absolutely nothing because I'm not sure I know what to do with it. So she and I had a long talk. And I never talked to her again. I don't know if it ever finally did absolutely anything, but I'm just telling you, grids are like all of our life paths. They will work out and become what we need them to be. Okay?
A lot of times you got to remember, you just got to give it time.
Right.
You know, it's like not every single day of your life, your spirituality is on point. And so you got to remember, if you didn't feel the energy the first day, try it again the next day or the next day after that. It depends on what's going on in your life. If you're highly stressed, or, you know, you've been doing like a whole bunch of things can just really come into play as to what's going on. And don't block your energy from the grid. Once you get it, Try to connect to it as much as you possibly can, and really get into the spiritual. Here's another question. Do you need a new grid every time you have a new need?
No, you cleanse the grid. You can smoke it. You can do it with sound. You can clap over it. You can put a candle over it. But and then you can start it all over again and write a whole new set of intentions. The grid I've got going behind me has been going since March of 2019, and it's still going. So
mine is after, I think 2022 is the one that I have back here.
Right, and you got one in 2020 because I got you a grid before.
Yeah, this is my second one. Yep.
Yeah, this is when Sheila knew what she was really doing with it. But anyway, so transition has that prominent stone with the dot in the middle. And then it has two little pillars that are like the energy shooting out of it. And these are both amethyst points. And I'm debating whether to sprinkle, because there's kind of this glowy light around it. I may or may not put little bitty citrines in there. And I'll decide when I put it finally together. Okay, now it's breaking apart, and it's doing it in graduating ways. So where I shop, I can get cabochons of various sizes. So this works. So this is a big one. And then these are carnelian cabochons. And I've been asked this question before. I really like red jasper. I think if you have a friend who's in a lot of trouble or in a troubled relationship and you want to help them work it out, get them a piece of red jasper and tell them to keep them with them, because it's an incredible protection stone. But carnelian opens your heart. And what I think is happening in transition is we're doing both of those things. So I'm creating the form that's on the card, and it took me a long time to figure this graphic out and what it meant in sacred geometry. And then I end with two red jasper points pointing the way out. So it's kind of pointing to a whole new direction. And then in each of the corners, and this is when you're talking about outer stones, I'm going to put some moonstones, which have to do with dreaming. I'm going to put 4 little moonstones. And if you look at this card closely, you'll see that there's little stones in it, like a pack. It'll be much more neatly put together. And I'm going to put some golden topaz, because what you're looking for, moonstones are incredible, deep emotional energy. Golden topaz is good fortune. I'll put that one up there for no particular reason that I want to. And then I've got aquamarine, which is the awakening of our consciousness. Thank you all for hanging in here today. And please, if you have not joined my channel, just go become a subscriber. That's all I want. I want some people to subscribe and support my channel. And I'm begging. I mean, YouTube's done it to me again. I mean, YouTube, yeah. They're messing with my subscriber numbers. There'll probably be 3 stones in that corner. That's the aquamarine with new energy, new enlightenment. And then this is azurite.
That one's very pretty.
Yes, I like this one. It's going to be real pretty when it's done. And people say, what do you hold the stones down with? I use this epoxy.
Thank you, Sharon Side. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night or day. Big hugs to everyone.
Sharon never sleeps, so apparently she's going to bed tonight. This is what I use. You can get it at any craft store. It's for attaching stones and metal and pottery and all kinds of stuff together. But if you're sensitive to odors, I would strongly suggest that you get a rebreather or you do it in a very open space. Because when I did 90 grids in 90 days, I was using a different epoxy. And all of a sudden one day I collapsed, and it was because I had poisoned myself. I had to get a rebreather. Anyway, and this is azurite, and I'm blanking. So I'm not going to give you the wrong answer. I'm going to go to my rock identifier program and see what azurite means. This is a really cool program. That's what it looks like. I can't see it on my phone. Okay, well, it went away. So that's even worse. No, go back. Okay. When you open it up, it asks you for valuation. It'll tell you what stone should be worth. It does identity, and we're going to go to identity. And we're going to put in azurite.
I'm just going to read some questions while this is.
Okay.
It says, I have never had these explained to me before. It's so interesting. How long did it take you to learn and study this?
Oh, I was in Colorado, your hometown, Miss Sheila, in 2018. I went to visit an old friend of mine who'd moved up to Colorado and found where she wanted to live forever. And she took me some rock shops. And of course, I was into stones and crystals. I'd always had them on my table. I never really understood why. I always thought I needed to have them on my table. Azurite is an emotional cleanser. It's ready to tie up all those dangling threads of anxiety, worry, and scattered thoughts. I knew that's why I picked azurite. Anyway, this is this card. You can see in the corner, see those little starlight things? When I put them out there, they'll glitter on the edge like that. And then I just have to decide.
Can you read what the wording that's at the bottom of that?
Yes. Yeah. The frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence in our lives, so that we can let go, surrender to the process, and allow the transition with ease and grace. So I put dreams, prosperity, new awakenings, and to let go in the corners. And this is your heart and soul. This is carnelian and red jasper. That's your heart and soul. And then it's got amazonite, and it's got amethyst, the spirit stone, grounding you in the center. And it is, Miriam, I agree. This grid has always moved me. When I look back through my pictures, I've made about 12 of these. People keep drawing it. People keep getting it. I won't, and I'm going to tell you this right now so you can just stop you before you make that phone call. I won't do a grid on demand. People say, oh, I saw that really pretty grid and I want that grid. Well, first of all, as you just saw, these are all one-of-a-kind stones that are in this grid right now. And so when I build a grid, I take you through the whole process and make you pull the cards. And do all that good stuff. And
The process is, and I'll explain. I think maybe from my point of view, it's like when I ask for a grid, what she does is she shuffles through her cards that she does have, and she intuitively pulls a card for you, and within that card, so it's tailored to what is going on with you. Even though we want the aesthetics of a beautiful this, that, and the other, that's really not what it's for. Is for decoration. It is literally for your energy, not for decoration. So a lot of I think they all end up beautiful, to be honest with you. But stone is literally energetically, the grid is built for you.
And built with the energy as I understand it, as you understand it, as where we want to go with it. Yeah, you can build your own grids. You can make a grid that was nothing but quartz. Just all clear quartz, and just decide you've chosen. I didn't get into it tonight, and if y'all would like me to teach a course on this, let me know, and I'll do it. Because when I typed it all in, trying to do a class outline for tonight, it said you have 6 weeks worth of material here. It's the intention, right? Divergent moon.
Divergent, exactly. It's intention. And so you don't want to get a grid for aesthetics, because that one it could throw your whole life into chaos. Well, and that would not be what you want, because it wasn't built for you.
Yeah, and there is a lot that I didn't show you. This is how I do it. I use numbers. I use 4s. When you saw me put things in 4 corners, 4s are building a new base and bringing new stability. It's like life path numbers. 1 is individuation, which is why that's the intent stone in the middle. Even when I put stones together, they're 1 stone. And then 2 is the duality of how do we deal with it. 3 is how do we communicate with it. 4 is building a base. 5 is any grid that I build that ends up having 5s in it, and that's in her designs too. That's lots and lots of change. That means lots and lots of change. 6 is hearth and home. You'll see a lot of balancing, trying to make the soul and the self feel better in 6. 7 is a new spiritual path. 8's money and power. We get money and power. And 9 is you're bringing something to an end. And one of the grids we have here has 9s in it, because it's bringing things to an end to go to a new beginning. So just to give you an idea of what we're really talking about, kids, this is the grids.
Which one is it? You said that you have mine. Which one was
this? Is a 5 grid. As you can see, this is a 5 grid. There's 5 points on here, and it means change. Yeah, I do have Tantric Journey. I think it's on here. And you see the different colors mean different things. They approach you differently. And I can tell you, this is a grid Sheila knows. It's Divine Feminine.
Yes. Well, thank you, Carol, for showing up. Carol says, "Hi, Sheila. I was just watching your remote view and decided to pop over here upon your recommendation." Hi, thank you.
And this is 3, so this is the opening of new communications for someone. That's my own personal grid. And each one of those stones was placed for a reason. And they all are placed for a reason. And look at this one. This is Divine Masculine. That's a very different kind of grid. It's not all airy, fairy, and pretty. And I had a lady who wrote me and said, "There's too many brown stones on my grid," when she got it. And I went, her thing looked something like Divine Masculine. And I was like, what did you expect? This one I think is beautiful. And so just saying, they take all kinds of form. And
I don't know which one I'm gonna get. That's my favorite part.
Yes.
And I just accept that's the one for me, because I don't want somebody else's.
And right. And I couldn't build two grids the same because I'm using natural stones.
Yep.
And in case y'all don't have never watched me talk about my stones, she's getting the grid. She's getting the grid.
But this thing, when this got to me, I put it up there and it hasn't come down. It is built exactly. I have, oop, goes this way. Has
right, and that was a prosperity one.
Yeah. So that's my grid that I've had for a while. Do you remember when you sent this to me?
It was probably in 22.
So the place, it says awakening, spiritual life, psychic development, health, release, heart, grounding. I have so much air in my astrology. Enhance composition and letting go. So that was my recipe that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting a new one.
Mm-hmm. Which is an even further letting go.
And I think I've been hanging this upside down the whole time. It doesn't matter, but I'm just saying.
I don't. The universe put it where it wanted it to be.
Exactly. And I put a butterfly on there because butterfly, that's my favorite is butterflies. I mean, my favorite animal is dog, of course, but my symbol is butterfly, of course. It airs. We get lots of air.
Anyway, if you want to see more about the books I spoke about briefly, or really, I have in the notes beneath the show how to get a hold of me by email, and you can contact me. I'm about to finally finish my class on the gardens and teach that for 4 sessions. And you have to be a gardener to get into that group. But if you are interested in seeing this turned into a class of some form, please let me know. And
yes, please.
Please let us know. I mean, and I want to tell you how happy I am, how patient everyone has been. Well, I've been less than well, but I want to let you know that the air cleaners in my house are working. I'm waking up with my oxygen sats in the mid 90s every day. So I've decided not to die. My doctor had a fit when I called him up and said, well, the day it got to 83, and he goes, you should have been in an ambulance.
Oh my gosh, honey.
But, once I got up and walked around, it went back, popped right back up to 90. And it's been a tough season. Thank you, Linda. Join my, become a subscriber, and you'll see the further adventures of Nancy does a class. And I don't know that Sheila's going to have enough time to come help us all the time, but
who knows? You never know.
You never know. But Sheila lives in a place with great rocks. And actually, there are some really good rocks shops that are online that are real. I talk a little bit about that privately with people because, oh, you are a subscriber. Linda, I have no way of seeing the list of who subscribes. So
I'll have to show her because there's a way. I just have to take another trip to Dallas and sit her down with all the stuff. I mean, she's been on this for quite some time, and she is now getting to editing. So we're doing good. We are moving in the forward direction.
My grand editing achievement was to put together the slideshow of just some of the grids. And the sad thing for all of y'all is my degree was in broadcast film, and I used to edit film, and I used to edit videotape.
The old way.
But it was real. You could cut it with a knife. And
then they would have to stitch it together somehow. Can you imagine?
I knew how to imagine. I knew how to fade it. I knew how to do everything. But I've been spending time doing tutorials, and I'm not going to be the get off my lawn old person. I'm going to learn how to do it. And I want to thank the people who've been patiently waiting for their grids. And there's just so much more that I can't even begin to tell you that goes into what happens here. But this gives you some idea. And thank you, Miss Sheila. And I will cut us off. I forgot. You don't have the controls. I do.
You do.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good holiday weekend. Bye.